notice the way I'm going to do this review is going to be a little different than most. I'm going to talk about one game at a time, pause, do a little bit more research on the next game, and then, keep going. So I'm going to try and go a little bit more in depth on each of these in these situations. I watched 3 of the 6 wild card games. I watched half these games. I didn't watch the other half. I'm going to talk about the 3 that I did not watch first. But just to reiterate, my predictions for the wild card round were the Browns, Chiefs, Bills, Buccaneers, Lions, Cowboys. So of those, Browns, I was incorrect. Chiefs, correct. Bills, correct. Buccaneers, correct. Lions, correct. Cowboys, incorrect. So I went 4 for 6 on my wild card round predictions. Honestly, not bad. 2/3, 66.666 repeating, of course, percent. But let's talk about the first game I want to talk about is Packers-Cowboys. Now, if you just look at the final score of this game, you do not. It looks a lot closer than it actually was. And so the final score is 48-32 in favor of the Green Bay Packers, but almost all of those Cowboys points came in the second half of the game, and then they got 14 at the end of the game. Basically garbage time. Now, my thinking with this team was the Cowboys with their really good defense, and you have the Packers that, even though Jordan Love being as good as he has been, the playoffs are a little bit of a different animal, right? But looking at this, I don't know if that's the case anymore, because C.J. Stroud also beat the team that had more veterans, veteran QB, veteran defense, and you have that young team. So, for as long as I've been alive, kind of the wisdom, the old school wisdom has been that, veterans are better in the playoffs, right? And that rookies and young teams will struggle in the playoffs. But both the Texans and the Packers kind of proved that conventional wisdom wrong in this wild card round. And Jordan Love put up an absolutely, insane performance. And again, if you just look at these stats, you might think that, Dak Prescott was the better QB, but Jordan Love 16 for 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, great QB rating, 157.2. Dak Prescott, meanwhile, 41 for 60, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions was a pick 6. But talking about Dak Prescott, I want to talk about the Cowboys here. Dak's last 3 playoff performances, obviously the one I just told you about. The one before this, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 206 yards, QB rating of 64. And the one before that, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 254 yards, QB rating of 69. Those are Dak Prescott's last 3 playoff performances. All of them really bad, and honestly, I thought that the Cowboys are always going to be kind of the Cowboys to an extent, right? But it felt like the things were kind of aligning for them at this point, especially because, at some points in the season, they were the top team in the league. At one point, the Cowboys were at least a top 3 power ranking team. But this wild card round was brutal for teams that had been top of the power rankings at one point. At one point, the Cowboys had been there. At one point, the Browns had been there. At one point, the Dolphins had been there. All lost to teams that, on paper, were worse than them. And looking at the Cowboys, this just felt like the easiest route to the Super Bowl they could have had was this year, especially, because that Eagles collapse. They could have gotten back-to-back home games on their way to the Super Bowl. And then there's this tweet from Schefter. The Cowboys were 8-0 at home in the regular season. They had a 16-game home winning streak dating back to last year, and they were the only home team to lose in the wild card round. So they defended that home turf perfectly up until this game. And, the coach is obviously an issue. That coach is an issue. Dan Quinn's an issue. Jerry Jones is an issue. But there's going to be a lot of talk about Dak Prescott and what they should do with him now. The question is, if the Cowboys do decide to get rid of Dak Prescott right now, they are going into a rebuild, and they're not getting back into the playoffs at least for another 3 years. Because they're not going to, for all the criticisms that people have of Dak and that I have of Dak, you're getting a guy like that in the draft. They're not going to be able to do it this year. So they'd have to wait till next year. I don't know what next year's QB class is looking like, but Dak is still an average to above average starting QB in the NFL. Even though it does feel like in the playoffs, he kind of shrinks a little bit. But then looking at the free agents that the Cowboys have coming up, Tony Pollard's an upcoming free agent. He's going to want a contract. Tyron Smith, Stephen Gilmore, Dorrance Armstrong, Jaron Kearse, Jordan Lewis, Jonathan Hankins, Dante Fowler Jr., Rico Dowdle. Do they give a big contract to Pollard? Do they give a big contract to Smith? What do they do? They have Dak under contract. What do the Cowboys do? I don't know. But right now the Packers, to give flowers to the team that did win this game, they're kind of playing with house money, right? They weren't expected to get this far, and I kind of mentioned this in my predictions video. Being that underdog, not being expected to win, you play differently, you play looser, and kind of speaking from experience watching the Vegas Golden Knights year one, them going into the playoffs, they were an underdog every single round. They get to the Stanley Cup final. Now Vegas is no longer the underdog. People are betting on them. They're expected to win. That's when they collapsed. And sometimes that's just the way things go, and the Packers have not missed a beat with Aaron Rodgers' retirement. That defense is better than I thought it would be. Now Dallas did get a ton of first downs. They converted a ton of third downs, but Green Bay shut down the run. Dallas was still passing a lot, but when it mattered and they were getting down to the end zone, it just wasn't happening. And the Dallas team's just a well-built team. I imagine they're only going to get better. I don't know how much further they go from here. Obviously my prediction video will be up either tomorrow or the next day. But that young scrappy team playing with house money, it's kind of hard to bet against that. So anyways, that's the Packers-Cowboys game. The other two games I didn't watch were the Browns, Texans, and Steelers-Bills. So I'm going to talk about those next. So I'm going to pause this, pull up some info on those games, and we'll get into those. So the Browns-Texans is an interesting one. With regards to the Texans, I feel like basically all the things that I said about the Packers kind of also qualify here. You cannot overstate how quickly and completely CJ Stroud turned this Houston Texans team around. My entire life as a sports fan that I followed the NFL, been following since I was probably I'm almost 30 now. The Texans have been a joke of a franchise. Always, they've had one or two little blips, but they've, beyond that. But he's turned them around. People like the Texans now. People are like, oh, it's a good team, man. It's because that one dude. And again, with them and the Browns, that's, kind of what I was saying about the veterans. That's why I picked the Browns there. Especially that Browns defense. I thought that Browns defense, which is one of, if not the best defense in the NFL, definitely up there with NFL playoff whistles. With regards, you know what I'm saying. The whistle's different in the playoffs against a rookie QB and a young, inexperienced Houston team. That was kind of my thought. I fully admit I was wrong about that. But it's weird with the Browns, right? Because you feel like they really shouldn't have even been here. Like, the fans don't seem that heartbroken. Like, compare that to the Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans were burning jerseys. There was videos of them throwing their TVs out their windows. Like, Cowboys fans are very mad right now. Cowboys fans want everybody fired. They want the whole team torn apart. Browns fans doesn't really feel like that. They're kind of chill with the laws. I think they're obviously upset a little bit. I think the main thing is how bad Myles Garrett was in this game. That's really the only thing that really concerns me about this game. Myles Garrett was basically invisible here. And I think, does he need a contract coming up? Or is he good? I don't know. No, I don't think he needs a contract. I think he's alright. But your final score here is 45-14 in favor of the Texans. The Cleveland Browns were a 2.5 point favorite. Joe Flacco goes 34 for 46, 307 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. CJ Stroud, 16 for 21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. And one of those Flacco interceptions was a pick 6, unfortunately. Kind of salt the wound there. So, one Cinderella story comes to an end. That is the Cinderella story of the Browns and Joe Flacco. Which, who knows what happens with him. What he showed at the end of the season. Is Joe Flacco going to be on another team next year? I think we're going to see a lot of QB shakeups after this offseason. I could see Dak Prescott with a new team. I saw one person even talking about Dak Prescott to Seattle, which I was kind of, I'm not mad at that. And I haven't even talked about the Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll stuff yet. That I haven't really found it didn't seem appropriate for the video, but I might talk about, do like an off-season, like, recap or breakdown or something, I don't know. But yeah, does he sign a 1-year deal somewhere? Maybe somebody that drafts a rookie QB in this draft and they want them to learn behind Flacco for a year, I don't know. But yeah, it's too hard to feel. I don't think too many Browns fans are really too broken up about this, but there's a lot of question marks going into next year. What's going to happen with Nick Chubb, right? Coming back from injury. They have a lot of free agents to sign. They have 26 upcoming free agents. Zadarius Smith, Anthony Walker Jr., Jordan Elliott, Shelby Harris, Harrison Bryant, Joe Flacco, I don't think he's coming back, Kareem Hunt, Nick Harris, PJ Walker, Mike Ford, Marquise Goodwin, Jakeem Grant, and Kareem Hunt's the big one there. What are they going to do with these guys? Jacob Phillips. Yeah, so that's kind of the question is, what is this Browns team going to look like next year? Because it kind of felt like they've been building, and maybe getting rid of Baker and bringing in, I can't think of his name. Well, because he hasn't played like half the year. He didn't play last year, so I can't think of his name. What's his name? They gave him the huge... Why? I'm just drawing a blank all of a sudden. giving him that big deal, did that kind of stymie their process here? I don't know. But this Texans team, this is, they have a tall task ahead of them going into the next round, obviously. But I think of them a lot similarly to how I think of the, hold on, to how I think of the, why are these not in here? Hold on. I would think of the Packers. They're kind of playing with house money right now, kind of like the Packers are. They have the Ravens coming up, don't they? Yeah, they have the Ravens. That's, and the Packers get the Niners. So again, I don't know how much longer these Cinderella stories go, but they've at least gotten this far. And for both the Packers and the Texans, this is the perfect start to this new era of their teams. Even if this is as far as they go, this is the perfect start. Alright, next up we're going to talk about Bills Steelers. I don't really have too much to say about this game, to be honest. The Steelers, you had Mason Rudolph in there. The Steelers were dealing with so much. They had DJ Watt out. I don't think they really had a shot in this game, to be honest. Is Mason Rudolph going to be back there next year? Now the big story around the Steelers is going to be Mike Tomlin. It even got brought up at his press conference. He has 1 year left on his contract. So next season, hope that probably before next season, they're going to be trying to figure out his future with the team. And with Bill Belichick leaving the Patriots, with Pete Carroll leaving the Seahawks, with Mike Vrabel leaving the Titans, there's a lot of question marks. There's going to be the coaching carousel this offseason is going to be insane. My personal opinion, I think that this is such a no-duh, but I think one of Belichick, Vrabel, or Tomlin is going to end up in Dallas. Now it's really interesting, and I could potentially see this happening, but I don't know if his ego will allow it. I could see Bill Belichick becoming the defensive coordinator in Dallas, and Vrabel or Tomlin being the head coach. But I don't know. If I had to guess who ends up in Dallas. Well, see, the weird thing is there was this report today saying Bill Belichick might be going to the Atlanta Falcons, which I never would have thought in a million years he'd end up there. So maybe Tomlin will be going to Dallas, I don't know, but with the Steelers' injuries and with how the Bills have been playing over these last few weeks, I didn't see this game going any other way. This was a bit closer than some of these other games, funny enough. Final score 17-31 in favor of Buffalo. Mason Rudolph 22 for 39, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Josh Allen 21 for 30, 203 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, no interceptions. Blake Mason Rudolph played a pretty good game. So it's just a question of, is he going to come back? But the Steelers are just kind of in this spot right now where I feel like what are they? They feel like they're on the treadmill right now. The Steelers haven't been good enough to go far, but they haven't been bad enough to suck. I feel like I always have a hard time predicting Steelers games because they're such a middle of the road team. I don't know, it's really weird to to talk about the Steelers for me. I don't know why that is. I just have a hard time rating them. But now we're going to move on to the 3 games that I did watch, starting with the Dolphins game. The Miami Dolphins now hold the record for the longest playoff win drought in the NFL. The Lions previously, I believe, were either tied or held the record, but they just won, so now it's the Dolphins. Actually, it's not even the NFL, it's in all of sports. And the Dolphins have a lot of question marks. Now that this game's over, let me talk about my notes first. I'm just going to go over them. Then I'll go over the score and stats. I'll talk a little bit about the Dolphins and Chiefs' future, okay? So here's my notes for Chiefs versus Dolphins. I said, everybody is freezing to death. Taylor Swift's window is a pane of ice, officially 4 below freezing. First pass of the game's incomplete from Mahomes. He was targeting Kelsey, and then Pacheco starts busting out some huge runs to get the Chiefs down to the doorstep. And then Rashee Rice into the end zone for the opening drive. Chiefs touchdown. Dolphins already on the back foot. Rashee Rice. What a great year. What a great draft class for wide receivers this was. Rashee Rice, Puka. I'm sure there's people I'm missing, but these two showed up in the playoffs. Amon-Ra St. Brown. So many great receivers in these playoffs that were rookies. Dolphins offense getting absolutely nothing to start, then a false start pushes them to 3rd and 13. They're forced to punt, and it was an awful punt, one of the worst punts I've ever seen. Put the Chiefs on the 40-yard line. The Chiefs respond with a 3 and out, unable to capitalize on the good field position. Eli Apple goes down hurt for the Dolphins. They've already down a bunch of starters on defense. Mahomes throws to a wide open Travis Kelsey. The ball goes right through his hands. Could have been a touchdown there. Chiefs convert the 3rd down. Get down to the end zone. So over field goal, go up 10-0. Tua to a wide open Tyreek Hill. He avoids the tackle into the end zone. 2 plays, 1 touchdown. Dolphins get 1 back. 4th and 4. Mahomes keeps the ball, scrambles, gets the 10-yard line, sets up 1st and goal. And then Rashee Rice gets his 2nd touchdown of the game, 17-7 for the Chiefs. But a block in the back takes that touchdown off the board. 3rd and goal. Mahomes' pass is broken up. They settle for another field goal. Go up 13-7. 3rd and 2. Mostert gets the ball in a pitch, can't catch it. Offense stays on the field for 4th down, and they don't convert it. Kansas City gets the ball back. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left in the first half. But then Kansas City goes 3 and out. Miami has opportunity to take the lead before halftime, but Tua gets a big sack on 3rd and 13. 2 minutes till halftime. Kansas City gets the ball. Rashee Rice converts a huge 3rd down, beats the blitz, but they can't get into the end zone. Chiefs kick their 3rd field goal of the night before halftime, 16-7. Miami starts the ball 2nd half. They're running way too many plays behind the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 5. Tua scrambles, comes up short. 3 and out for Miami to start the 2nd half. And then Rashee Rice goes down out of bounds. He's shaken up and limping. Ends up going down to his knees. He does come back into the game later, but he was he was less noticeable, making fewer plays than he had been prior to that. Chiefs first drive the 2nd half ends in a field goal, 19-7. Dolphins need a touchdown, and they need it fast. 2nd and 10. Tua gets sacked for the 2nd time of the night. They go 3 and out, not looking good for Miami. Let's see, Mahomes has an incompletion on 3rd and 20, but a roughing the passer gives him the automatic 1st down. And then Pacheco powers ahead for the touchdown. Kansas City up 25-7, 11 minutes left. I said this game is over. Dolphins are done. Red hot offense cooled down when it mattered most. I thought the lights were a little bit too bright for Tua. I also thought their play calling was bad. McDaniel did not seem to trust Tua in big moments, and I said questions will be asked of both of them. Embarrassing way for their season to end. So the final score does end up being 26-7 in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. Tua Tagovailoa, 20 completions on 39 attempts, 199 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Patrick Mahomes, 23 for 41, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And yeah, this, like I said, this Dolphins team, Tua's on the last year of his rookie deal. Next year, so next year will be the last year of his rookie deal. And they're saying that Mike McDaniel did a press conference. He said Tua needs to focus on extending plays. It's interesting, you have to. There's our thing here, this tweet. It says the Miami Dolphins did more to hide their offensive line in pass protection than any team of the last decade, but it was not sustainable. So, they basically, the Dolphins knew that their offensive line was trash, to put it mildly, but they, McDaniel was scheming to hide that fact as much as possible. I do think that McDaniel's play calling is questionable in this game. There was a lot of plays. Like I said, he did not trust Tua to throw the ball in opportune moments. They were running or doing little screen passes at times that just really didn't make sense in my opinion. And like I said, way too many plays behind the line of scrimmage, getting the ball out not deep enough. So I was kind of like, they not trust Tua to throw the ball deep here. And I saw this tweet that was very interesting. It says it took C.J. Stroud 1 season to have people understand that he is the Texans franchise QB. This is Tua Tagovailoa's 4th season, and we are still arguing whether he is or isn't. Just hit the reset button at the QB position. I don't have strong opinions either way about Tua. I think he's okay. I don't think he's bad. I think it's funny that at one point he was kind of in the MVP conversation. That went away quickly. But I don't, the kind of money Tua's gonna ask for, you can't give Tua Herbert money. You can't give Tua Mahomes money. You can't give Tua, he's gotta have some sort of maybe 2 or 3 year deal. Less than $100 million. You don't, maybe you have to wait and see what he does next season, but I don't know. Right, and, listen to this. So here's this last bit that I'll talk about, the Dolphins. It says, lively discussion in the media room today. I am less optimistic about the Dolphins' future today than I was last January. Sustained offensive incompetence against good teams. The Dolphins only had 12 touchdowns in 71 possessions against playoff teams this season. 12 touchdowns against playoff teams. That's really bad. Now the Chiefs. The Chiefs did win this game. And I think the weather is a factor here. I won't say that it's not. But man, that Travis Kelce has been noticeably worse this year than last year. Especially in the tail end of this season. I think he had 2 or 3 drop passes this game that were you should not have dropped that. Pacheco and Rashee Rice are kind of like the release valves right now instead of Kelsey, and it's interesting. I do think, and somebody made this comment, I think the experience of the Chiefs is very important. Andy Reid, one of the best coaches in the league. The Chiefs have been there, done that. They're not going to wilt under the pressure. The only thing that's going to beat them is a legitimately better team. The moment is not going to be too big for them. They have multiple rings, right? But I don't know. This Chiefs team is observably, objectively less dominant than previous Chiefs team. They're certainly not a lock. I think I might put them right now as my fourth favorite, maybe even fifth. My favorite is probably Ravens, Niners, Lions, Bills, Chiefs, Texans, Packers, Bucks. Maybe in that order. I don't know. Okay, next up. Lions, Rams. Actually, I don't feel the need to do too much more into this. This game was, Stafford Bowl, him coming back. Now, this game was a lot closer than I thought. Actually, the more that I reflect on this game, the less confident I am in this Lions team. Going deep into the playoffs, they almost lost to this LA Rams team. And that's not to take anything away from the Rams. Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. But, would this Rams team have played the Niners this close? Would they have played the Ravens this close? Would they have played, insert other top playoff team here close? I don't know. I don't think so. And the second half of this game, the first half of this game, I was all aboard the Lions train. The second half of this game, the second half offense, particularly of this game, has me really worried about the Detroit Lions going into the future of these playoffs. Okay, these are my notes. Lions have a dominant offensive opening drive, march down to the end zone effortlessly. Montgomery into the end zone, and he's in. Lions score a touchdown the opening drive. The Rams offense also comes out hot right away. I was like, are we in for a shootout here? And it kind of turned into one in the first half, but then fizzled out. Stafford is almost intercepted on 3rd and goal, but then the field goal unit comes out onto the field, and the Lions pick up right where they left off. Offensive holding gives them a 1st and 20, but a huge play to Reynolds converts it on the first play of that drive. And then it's Gibbs into the end zone. Second straight touchdown drive for the Lions. They look unstoppable on offense. Stafford gets a massive 3rd and 19 conversion. And then Goff lifts the ball to a wide open Puka, and he's in for the Rams touchdown. 2 straight runs for the Lions to try and get into the end zone. They are not letting Goff throw short. And another run is short. Not sure why they aren't passing. Offense stays on the field for 4th down. Goff finally throws on 4th down, and Laporta gets it. Touchdown Lions, 3 straight. Yeah, that was like a weird little segment of the game where it was like a 8 to 12 minute period where it felt like they just didn't really want Jared Goff to throw the ball. It was really weird. So it's a touchdown Lions, 3 straight. And at that point, they showed Stafford throwing on the sideline. It looked like he might have an issue with his hand or shoulder or something. I think it ended up being his hand. Rams get a 4th and 5. intercepted again, but instead Atwell gets the catch and is wide open into the end zone. I said every drive so far this game has been a score, amazing offensive shootout. Hasn't been a single punt and it's almost halftime. A delay of game pushes the Lions back to 2nd and 25. Screen pass gets to 3rd and 15, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown converts it. And I said it feels like the first team that punts is going to lose the game. And then the Goff can't convert on the 3rd and 5. They go for it on 4th and 5, and the Rams jump offside for the false start. But they said the Lions at the false start, and then the Lions had to punt. Rams get the ball 1 minute before half. I said Rams have all the momentum right now. Can't get any points before half, but they get the ball second half. They go 3 and out. Lions march down to the doorstep. Goff takes a big sack. They're forced to kick a field goal. Lions up 7. Massive 22-yard reception puts the Rams around the goal line, but the Lions make a huge defensive stand. Field goal for the Rams. Lions up 4. And at this point, Stafford was concussed. And the NFL is supposed to have these independent concussion observers. Whoever that was for this game did not do their job, because Matthew Stafford should not have been allowed to play the rest of this game. He could have gotten seriously hurt if he took another big hit to the head, because dude was concussed after that hit. 3rd and 6, Goff stumbles and falls on the ground. Lions are going to punt for a second straight drive. Stafford is back on the field. I said, let's see if his injury impacts his play. Rams have a chance to take the lead. Lions defense has been overall disappointing today. They need to do something. 3rd and 8, Stafford drops back. Screen pass to Puka, converts it. I said Rams have all the momentum right now. Rams march down to the goal line again, but Lions once again force the field goal for the red zone. 8 minutes left in the game. Lions need a touchdown. Goff is immediately pressured to start the next drive, throws it away, and they end up having to punt. And I said the Lions have completely unraveled here. Kind of embarrassing look for the Lions offense in the second half. Puka has a 35-yard reception. I said the Rams are going to win. At that point, I thought they were going to win for sure. There's a huge hit on Higbee. He's down, not getting up. Stafford throws on 3rd and long to Puka, no good, and the Rams punt. Lions get a huge break. Amon-Ra's a huge conversion, forces the Rams to use their last timeout. Minute 54 remaining, and the Lions kneel it down. That's the ball game. Now the Lions won 24-23. Stafford 25 completions, 36 attempts, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Goff 22 for 27, 277 yards, a touchdown, no picks. But that second half for the Lions was some of the ugliest football I've seen in a minute. Now they're playing the Buccaneers, so I don't know. I feel like that could go either way, to be honest with you. But I feel like if you're the Lions, you have to be a little bit concerned, because the defense did get some red zone stops to force those field goals. But the Rams were getting down to that red zone with very little resistance. They're outside of that short field position, the Rams defense was not great. Their pass rush was not great. And that second half offense, that cannot happen again. It can't happen against the Buccaneers. Can't happen against the Chiefs or the Bills. Wouldn't be right. It would be. Hold on. Let me just go back to my bracket. Packers. That's right, Niners or Packers. If they get past the Bucs. That's, yeah. So, you definitely can't do that in the second half against the Niners. I don't know. With the Rams, though, the Rams are only looking up from here. Your only concern is maybe Matthew Stafford getting older. How old is Matthew Stafford? He has to be up there. He's 35. So I feel like if you're the Rams, that's really your only concern is Matthew Stafford's age, because their offense is, really good. I guess their defense, he has some old guys there like Aaron Donald, so maybe next year the Rams need to maybe looking to go all in next year. But I feel like they're sitting pretty right now. The season is a win as far as they're concerned. They went above and beyond. Okay. Eagles, Buccaneers. Vindication. That's all I'm gonna say is vindication. People have given me so much flack for my takes on the Eagles this season. So much flack. This game is vindication. Nick Sirianni is gonna lose his job, and people in the comments were calling me an idiot for saying that he deserved to, like, weeks ago. Vindication. So here's my notes on this game. Buccaneers start with the ball. Their offense looks good to start the game. Eagles secondary looked extremely soft early and through most of this game. Massive third down conversion puts Tampa on the doorstep. They cannot get the ball into the end zone. They're forced to settle for 3 points. And something to note was no A.J. Brown for the Eagles this game, which is like Hurts' main offensive weapon. Like, that's his nobody's open, throw it to A.J. Brown. Eagles can't convert the third down. Hurts throws a terrible pass as he's hit that's almost picked. Punt. A face mask penalty against the Eagles gives the Buccaneers a 37-yard reception. Moore with a huge reception. He breaks 2 tackles, powers into the end zone, and Tampa has the first touchdown of the game. Eagles are already on the back foot. This could get ugly. Their defense is useless. That was very brutal this game. And the Eagles immediately go 3 and out again. Disaster of a game for them. Eagles defense finally gets a stop. The Buccaneers kick a field goal. They scored on every drive up to that point. Hurts throws on third down. Can't find his man. The Eagles settle for the field goal in their first points of the game. 3rd and 6 for the Buccaneers, and Baker uses his legs to convert it. Tampa Bay is a 48-yard field goal attempt, and it is good. 16-3 Tampa. Julio Jones is a huge catch to convert the third down, but he takes a huge hit and is slow to get up. I don't believe he came back into the game. Huge reception by Devonta Smith puts the Eagles at the 5-yard line. 56-yard pass. Wide open Goddard, and the Eagles get their first down. The first touchdown just before halftime, An offside on the extra point attempt, but the Eagles at the 1-yard line. They go for 2 tush push, and it's no good. They finally get stopped on that. Buccaneers forced to punt on the subsequent drive. Eagles catch, ball pops out, but they recover it, and they're at the 9-yard line. Minute 30 for the Eagles to get a touchdown before half. Can't get anything. Halftime. Eagles start with the ball second half. 3rd and 11 for the Eagles in their opening drive the second half, and then Hurts is sacked. Eagles forced to punt. But then Baker gets sacked on the Buccaneers' subsequent drive. Back-to-back 3 and outs. A DPI keeps the Eagles from going 3 and out, but it happens on the next drive anyway. Said Philly's offense has been non-existent, save for the Goddard play. 3rd and 1 at the Philly 40. Baker gets sacked, and the offense gets pushed back out of the field goal range. falls apart, starts the next drive with a loss of 6 on the run, and then the Buccaneers force a safety. And then the Buccaneers immediately respond with a touchdown, so safety, then a touchdown. And there was an ineligible receiver that pushed the Eagles to 2nd and 22. I said right there, if the Eagles do not convert this, the game is over and I'm turning it off. 4th and 5, Hurts throws to the end zone, but it's incomplete, and right then I turned the game off. At that point, it's over. My final 2 notes were Jason Kelce deserves so much better than this to go out. Like, he has put everything on the line for this team, and nobody showed up for him, especially not Jalen Hurts. I said Sirianni's trash. Fire Sirianni. Hurts cannot play offense without Shane Steichen, whatever. I said it's time for Philly to rebuild. They got to the Super Bowl last year, fell short, fizzled out round 1 this year after a monumental collapse. Where does Philly go from here? You know, if you were the Philadelphia Eagles GM, what would you do right now? Final score 9-32. Favor the Buccaneers. Jalen Hurts 25 for 35, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Baker Mayfield 22 for 36, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm gonna quickly just find some stats and stuff and then be right back. But yeah, so Philly could not stop the blitz all night. The Buccaneers were running blitz, I want to say like every other down. Buccaneers were sending blitz. Here's this tweet. The Eagles continue to go empty. The Bucs continue to send 6 to ensure a free runner, and the Eagles continue to have exactly 0 answers. This is the exact same thing that happened against the Giants. I honestly can't even tell you what this offensive staff does in practice or the film room. And that's Nick Sirianni. That is Brian Johnson. That's Matt Patricia. They all need to go. Like at the end of this game, Jason Kelce was crying on the sidelines because he realized this is probably the last game of his career. And it was wasted by an incompetent coaching staff. And Shane Steichen should have never been allowed to go to the Colts. He should have been promoted to head coach. Because it is clear that he was the Jalen Hurts whisperer. He turned that dude into one of the best quarterbacks last season, and then look at the comparison to now, and I don't want to hear about his dislocated finger. Everybody is hurt right now. Everybody's hurt. You know, and the Buccaneers, hey, I was completely wrong about the Buccaneers. They have exceeded any and all expectations. Do they go much further than this? I don't know, but man, so many good underdog stories coming out of this year. The Texans, the Packers, the Buccaneers, like all 3 underdogs. The Lions, not underdogs this season, but perennially, yes. They've been a bad team for a long time. There's so many feel-good stories in this year's playoffs. I'm really excited for the next round. Let me know what you thought of the wild card round here, what you thought about these games, what you think about any of these teams and their future, especially the teams that lost. What do you think they need to do going forward? Like I said, either tomorrow or the next day, my prediction video will be out, where I will go over who I think will win each game. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.